Good afternoon. As family is getting seated, if everybody would just kindly make sure that your cell phones are turned off, we would appreciate that. Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Wellborn, a friend of the family's. Billy, Josie, Ruby, Miss Susan, Carol, Jen, Thomas. What an honor to be asked to serve in this capacity for the remarkable person that Robin was. Family and friends in Christ, we're here to celebrate the life and mourn the death and look forward to the resurrection of Robin Gail Hensley Blazer. Child of God, one of Robin's sisters, Jen Hensley, would like to say a few words.
Hi. I'm one of Robin's sisters, Jenny. I know many of you, I don't know all of you. Thank you for being here. In September of 2019, I had the honor of eulogizing my father. I didn't know how to start to tell the story of him, so I walked us through a few things that I had learned from him, that he taught us. There were probably 5 or 6. How to show up for your neighbors, how to laugh at myself, how to work, how to show love, how to die. Robin and I didn't talk about this prior to Dad's service. Robin and I didn't sit quietly with one another and emote. Our shorthand, physical and verbal language was sufficient for us to know what the other was thinking at any given moment. We were unbeatable at Pictionary. I mention that because Robin stood up right after me at Dad's funeral and shared what she had prepared for Dad, which was a list of things that he had taught her. It was different from my big feeling things. Her list continued practical things. And at some point you should read it. It's good. But here are just a few. If you think you're going to hit a cow in the field, shut off the engine. Don't gamble, ever. But learn how to play poker. You'll need to know when other people are bluffing. Learn the rule of 72. Compound interest will be your best friend or your worst enemy. Raccoons make terrible pets, but they have a lot of character, so get one if you want. Help your neighbors, even if you don't agree with them. Let your neighbors help you. To say that our family has been humbled by the generosity of this community, both here in Ennis and across the globe, would be an understatement. At some point, the words "thank you" sounded very hollow, because that's all we were saying. And I find that pretty appropriate, as this woman whose life we are celebrating today taught so many of us to be grateful for the things around us daily. Big things like sunrises and snowstorms and days on the lake, and little things like ladybugs and coffee that's just the right temperature and pie for breakfast. So thank you to every soul in this room and watching on the internet for loving my sister in your own imperfect ways. This morning I found a quote she'd written. I don't know who the author is, so I apologize I can't credit it. But I would ask that you hold these words close to you in the coming hours, days, and years. Stop putting yourself down for letting sadness seep into your joy, or letting joy seep into your sadness. Your heart is not a cafeteria tray for keeping things separate, making sure nothing touches. Feel it all, even if it's messy. The mess is where the magic is. I overlooked a name in your program. You're going to see a slideshow later on. our cousin, Taryn, Duncan, Nathan, prepared that for her, and we are very thankful. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Next, I would like to ask Tyr Simak to come up and share the life sketch, please.
Good morning. I apologize if I hold this paper in front of my face. I'm still trying to convince myself I'm a young man. Robin Gale Hensley Blazer, child of God, beloved mother and wife, daughter, sister, businesswoman, cousin, and friend to hundreds. Passed away peacefully at home early in the morning of January 27th. Setting aside Robin's striking physical beauty, this woman was as adept as the Madison River in slowly and decisively changing her environment for the better. One the third of 4 children on a working farm in the Crow Creek Valley of Broadwater County, Montana, to Robert and Susan Hensley. Robin's curly tow head never once lagged behind her older sister's long steps. In very short order, she was making strides of her own, surpassing all of us. A proud Townsend Bulldog, Robin set an example as a leader in cheerleading, band, National Honor Society, cross country, track, and speech and debate. Upon graduation from high school in 1994, Robin knew she wasn't quite ready to leave the nest and surprised us all by taking a pause for 6 months before starting college. This thoughtful and deliberate approach to big life changes would continue to serve her throughout her life. Robin attended the University of Montana in Missoula, where her corkscrew curls traveled around the campus as co-director of UM Advocates. While studying English, literature, and philosophy, Robin met her future husband, a red-headed forestry student and grizzly lineman named Willie. One of their first dates was ice fishing with her dad. They would travel around as a team around the country, marrying in December of 2000. Twin Falls, Idaho, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and Washington were all stops before settling for a few years in the Bitterroot Valley, while Willie was away for extended periods serving his country as a Special Forces medic, government security contractor, hotshot, and smoke jumper. Robin and Willie completely remodeled their Stevensville home, transforming it into a welcoming nest with gardens, dogs, and bright, airy rooms. Robin and Willie had 2 daughters, Josie Fern, and 16 months later, Ruby Willow. For as strong and no-nonsense as Robin was, never once did she pass up an opportunity to kneel down and delight in the tiny marvels of this world with her girls. January of 2007, this family of 4, along with their hound dog Boone, settled in the town of Ennis for its access to Montana's open spaces and no limit to its generosity and support. It was in these first years in Ennis that Robin's true tenacity and resolve became apparent as she and Willie raised their 2 remarkable daughters, built their lower Ennis proper home, and kept finding ways to slowly and decisively change this community forever. Working with Madison County's Economic Development Council, Robin brought the trout-themed fish out of water installations you see all around Madison County, as well as the Madison Marathon. Today, ask any serious runner in the Rocky Mountain West about the race, the highest road marathon in the United States, and they'll tell you that this is one of the most challenging, rewarding, and scenic races in existence. Thank you for that, Robin. It was the passion project of Willie's Distillery where Robin's dogged persistence truly shone. Every day, every evening, for years, Robin researched the industry, the feasibility studies, the business strategies, marketing, production, social media, distribution. No stone was left unturned. When she and Willie finally opened the doors in 2012, with her family's revised cattle brand as the logo, she'd anticipated hundreds of different scenarios and was ready with a plan for each one of them. She would be the first to tell you that not all plans were successful, but she was also fond of saying, you cannot wring your hands and roll up your sleeves at the same time. Suffice it to say, Robin did not wring her hands. Robin was a certified personal trainer, opened her own gym, was a CrossFit instructor, and showed up for herself on the trail or at the gym without fail. Her local CrossFit box will attest that even with chemotherapy pack attached to her body, actively infusing her, she would tie her shoes at the 6:30 a.m. class 3 days a week. If you happen to be a guest at her home, no excuse could keep you from attending with her. Robin was honored to be selected as one of the top 20 under 40 by the Bozeman Daily Chronicle Business Journal. When addressing the audience at the awards ceremony, she repeated a favorite quote: "You are the average of 5 people you spend the most time with." And Robin chose her company carefully. In her precious free time, you could find Robin on a quest with her family, friends, and dirty dogs at the top of a mountain, camping, or on a lake while reading a book. A true travel bug, she loved nothing more than adventuring around the world. We could fill libraries with her witticisms, wisdom, inspiration, and example. Words aren't sufficient to describe the glow she brought to any situation. Robin didn't walk through this world to make people uncomfortable. That is your own responsibility. She would tell you the truth, speak up with praise, and give feedback in private. She also had absolute confidence in the brilliance of her daughters and their peers. She said, "I want my girls to grow up and know they can do utterly anything they set out to do. The future leadership of the world critically depends on young people knowing how to organize their passions and how to take action in a way that makes an impact." Robin is survived by her husband, Willie, daughters, Josie and Ruby, her mother, Susan Hensley, her siblings, Carol Larson, Jennifer Hensley, and Thomas Hensley, numerous beloved nieces and nephews, and a tight-knit extended family. She is preceded in death by her father, Robert Hensley, and her grandparents, Helen and Woodrow Hensley, and Lillian and Philip Duncan.
Psalm 121. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. The word of the Lord.
Thank you, Darren. Next, if Faye Eit would come up and do a reading from the New Testament, please.
The New Testament reading is from Revelation 21, verses 1 through 4. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, beautifully dressed for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away."
Thank you, Faye. Next, there is going to be a music selection.
Time to close your eyes and save these questions for another I think I know what you've been asking me. I think you know what I've been trying to say. I promised I would never leave, and you should always know. Go, no matter where you are, I never will be far away. Good night, my angel, now it's time to sleep. And still so many things I want to say. Remember all the songs you sang for me when we went sailing out on Emerald Bay. And like a boat out on the ocean, I'm rocking you to sleep. The water's dark and deep inside this ancient heart. You'll always be a part of me. Good night, my angel, now it's time to dream. Has been. Someday your child may cry, and if you sing this lullaby, then in your heart there will always be a part. Someday we'll all be gone, but lullabies go on and on. They never die. It's how you and I will be.
Thank you. As Robin's uncle John Duncan makes his way forward, would you all please stand for the reading of the Gospel of John?
The Gospel of John for today's reading is from chapter 10, beginning at the 27th verse. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they will never perish, and no one will snatch them out of my hand. My Father, who has given them to me, is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them out of my Father's hand. I and the Father are one. This ends the gospel reading.
Thank you. Next, I would invite Sonny Hikus Nampton to come forward.
So I collect rocks. Those river trips we take, I find a special one, and I write the trip details on it. This one says, May 6, 2021, Barney to town, Robin, Maida, me, Caddis, and Sunshine. I'm just going to put this right here. Hard things are good things. Hello, everyone. I'm Sunny, just one of Robin's many, many friends. Thank you all. Thank you to the family for letting me speak today. While Robin would sometimes admit that she's an introvert who chooses her words carefully, I am the extrovert who sometimes fills the air with things that flow out of my brain. As you can imagine, we're a pretty balanced pair. So I wanted today to talk about words. We function in a world dominated by words. They are a constant in our lives. In this room today, we gather to hear them, to speak them, to sing them. Words will touch our souls. They will make us laugh. They'll make us cry. And they will lift our spirits. So it was 2 weeks ago when I was headed up to Robin's house. They had one of those moments regarding words. I was driving through the juniper sage landscape near the Blazer house, seeing the surroundings on a very pretty January day. The sun was out, the wildlife were meandering, and someone had graciously pushed pause on the wind. I was half-heartedly listening to the words on the radio. It was just sounds that was filling my car, like passengers having a conversation that didn't pertain to me. But as I rounded a corner, I heard one of the voices say the word unspeakable. It was the way that they said the word that immediately struck me. They were calm and they were soft-spoken. It wasn't the common adjective use, like an unspeakable history. They were more describing a state of being unspeakable, as though a person is unable to decide upon and carry out the simple use of words. As an accomplished extrovert with words for most everything, I was like, that thing. Something then shifted inside me. A slideshow of situations began flipping through my head. They are all situations where I've known myself or others to be unspeakable. They were all situations where people were profoundly moved, creating a reaction that is too complex to express with words. I thought of these moments. Looking at the blue-green glow of northern lights shape-shifting in a dark Arctic sky, peering into the bottomless gaze of love when a newborn is held and swayed, watching the first warm spring rain that soaks the land and scents the air, tasting a dark red homegrown strawberry, still warm from the sun, seeing a gray writhing thundercloud and the electric flashes of unleashed lightning, and knowing and loving a person who made our lives better in a million magical moments. I felt like these situations, they activate a combination of feelings that outpace the words that we rely on. It's like our cells and our synapses speak their own language. And for a time, sometimes just for a moment, there's no expressions or terms that suffice. I imagine many of us have been unspeakable in the last 2 weeks, right? It's real, it's okay. And this is our time to move through it. As we walk this road together, let us find and speak the words that carry us forward. For when they come, they are mighty. They are words of joy, grace, adventure, humility, honor, and love. It's ironic that in this room, I typed my last text to Robin. We'd been coming to basketball games this whole season. It was the closest thing we had to going out. Yes, we even dressed up. We would sit right about there, watch all the Mustangs, talk about our days, eat popcorn, watch Ruby and Josie in the student and in the band section, and we'd even sometimes clap for the other team when their players made one of those swishy three-pointers. Got to. She and I had texted that week about meeting at the Thursday game, and I knew she was thinking about it. They were also selling cream puffs that day at the game, so that was an extra bonus. As I sat right there, excited to possibly see her, I sent her a message. One of those really profound words. I wrote, "There's a very handsome referee here at the basketball game." She showed up. We ate popcorn and cream puffs. It goes without saying that Robin herself had a way with words. She was creative and competent, effective and engaging. She cared about what she said and how she said it. Her words came via her great big heart and her brilliant mind. They were one of her many superpowers. And as many know, her words held her gratitudes. She was real good at gratitudes. I spent time looking back through much of her writing, enjoying it immensely. You should do so if you can. Her Caring Bridge site, which she titled From the Mountaintop, has some really amazing features, including a piece from September 14th, 2019. She writes, "I know I've talked about gratitude here before, but lately I've had to say that my gratitude has overflowed into every part of my life. I've received care packages and notes of well-being from all over the United States. This lights up my day like you wouldn't believe. I love them so much. Thank you all for your thoughtfulness. Everything has been perfectly curated to my personality and how you have all gotten to know me. I haven't gotten thank you notes out because for once, I'm at a loss for words. But trust me, thank you. I'm so grateful for your love and good vibrations. Know that it makes every difference in the world. Your texts, messages, notes, packages, food, getting me out to exercise, jokes, books, your thoughts, prayers, laying on of hands, meditations, you're quietly sitting at my feet on the couch, waiting for me to request a cup of tea. You're washing my dishes, picking up my kids, taking care of work, having my back. Your unexpected kindness, understanding, empathy. I've reconnected with old friends, learned that lasting friendship is the most valuable asset we have. I've leaned in hard on these friends, and they've responded with the strongest shoulders that you can imagine. This is an incredible gift that I can never repay, and they don't expect me to. I know this, and I will be grateful forever. Suffice it to say, Robin embodied gratitude. And I believe very strongly that those are her words for you all here today. Thank you. So as we gather together in her honor, I hope that in our own words and in our own voices, we can create the laughter, joy, and light that she brought to all of us. We can tell our stories and share our memories with words upon words, gratitudes heaped upon gratitudes, a mountain of love. As Robin always said, you can do it. I know you can. Thank you all for being here. My best to you.
Could we get the lights turned down, please? Thank you.
I so believe in you. So, sister, though this water is wide, oh, sister, this grief and pain are true. I am here with you, and I will see you through to the other side. Sister, I know the earth in you. You are strong and wise. Oh, sister, can I say or do? I am here with you, and I will see you through to the other side. Your hands are crumbled to the earth, whatever it's for you to thrive. Your body knows like a river flows, and she will see you through to the other side. I so believe in you. So, sister, you are strong and wise. Oh, sister, what going through? And I will see you through to the other side. Your hands are crumbled to whatever it takes to thrive. Your body is like a river flows, and she will see you through to the other side. will see you through to the other side. Your body knows, and she will see you through to the other side.
Let's pray. Lord and giver of life, we give thanks to you for sending your Son, our Savior Jesus Christ, to rescue us from sin and death. We thank you for extending your mercy to Robin, who now rests in your presence. We pray that you protect us from all harm and danger, strengthen our faith, and lead us to trust in you as the giver of all good things, especially forgiveness, life, and salvation. Through Jesus Christ. Amen. In your program, you'll find the words to the Lord's Prayer. If you would join in, sing that along, and then after that, if you would also join in singing Amazing Grace, there will be a bit of piano music under that to help us out. So, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive those who trespass, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Who lives in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Like me, I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but it's that time my heart. How precious did I first believe through since His grace hath brought and grace will be. Thank you. We're going to ask folks that would like to share a memory of Rob, and there are microphones down on the floor that you can make your way to. There will be some that are being passed around the bleachers. And her brother Thomas would like to share some memories with us to get started, and then just feel free to step in and share some memories with us.
Hello, I am Thomas William, Robin's younger brother. Robin was a major influence to me as a young child and throughout my life. To everybody she met, she was a source of inspiration, a source of joy. She knew through hard work and learning from her own and others' mistakes how to treat people. and they were so inclined to return the same treatment. If Robin could perform miracles like Jesus, there would be little distinction between the two people. Jesus could conjure miracles through a higher power. Instead, Robin had to perform miracles by leveraging her knowledge, respect, drive, and the community of people she had at her disposal through her grace and abundant gratitude. If Jesus owned a distillery, he would be like Robin. Something that is mentioned at most every celebration of life is how the spirit of their loved one lives on through the hearts and lives and memories and actions of others. In a time of loss and seemingly emptiness, I grow comfort in the fact that the power Robin had can be magnified through you and I. You can see her today, right now, here, in you and I. And you cannot just be comforted by the fact that she is literally working through you and I, but that she must work through you and I. This is how the Holy Spirit works as well. Robin was a major influence on me in music, as were my other sisters in their playing piano when we were young. They all would play the piano, and I would sing along or plunk on the keyboard and bug them to the point of frustration. It was not my intention to bug them. I just wanted to play with them. Robin would play with me. We played a lot. Growing up in our house on the farm, sibling rivalry was commonplace. I am no stranger to the drama of 3 older sisters and a mother in a small house. Sometimes, if Robin were to be mad at one of her other sisters or parents, she would lock herself in her room. She would not let anybody in except me. I would knock on the door, and she would say, "Friend or foe?" And I would say friend because I did not know what foe was. And so I wanted the attention and approval of my older sisters, especially Robin. One time I said foe, and she did not answer. I went away for a while feeling dejected, came back, repeated the process, and instead said friend. Needless to say, she let me in. If you are a friend of Robin's, you are let in. Some things that my sister taught me: to be calm enough and strong enough to overcome obstacles. Sometimes you are in control, and sometimes you are not in control. To have self-confidence, to be self-reliant, creative, and persistent in whatever you do. To accept, allow, and celebrate success. Stay humble. If there is something to learn, there's probably a book for that. A challenge is an opportunity to learn and grow. To be passionate and focused on your life and work. To transform your burdens into blessings. To have the ability to rise to meet the occasion. It's okay to slow down and get it right. To become a better person each day. That struggle is the boot camp, preparing for bigger and better things. To be grateful for things, especially through tough times. To be strong. To persevere through challenges and adversity. To appreciate the hard lessons and be thankful for the lessons they teach. Find and regain your superpower. At this point, I'm going to perform Country Roads for you by John Denver, or my rendition of it. I have adapted the ending of the song. When I sing this, I want you to replace the words West Virginia with Montana in your mind, Shenandoah River with the Missouri or Madison River, and the Blue Ridge Mountains with the Lone Mountain, or another mountain that is evocative of Montana. At the end of the song, there will not be a reprise, but a surprise. So if you are inclined to sing, do not sing the last part of the song, as you won't recognize it. This ending is evocative of the Missouri River, the river that, if you follow it, will lead near mine and Robin's home from the farm. in the Coker Valley. You then have to go down a country road, Lone Mountain Road, to get there, which leads to Lone Mountain. And then I will open the floor up to more comments. This will be the first time performing in front of anybody with a guitar, so go easy. Almost heaven, West Virginia, the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, blowing in the breeze. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads, all her memories gather round her, a river's lady and a stranger to blue water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky. Misty taste of moonshine on the teardrop in my eye. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads. I hear a voice in the morning, how she calls me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. Western Montana, old Missouri River, take me home. Country roads, all her memories gather round her, a river's lady and a stranger to blue water. Dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty taste of moonshine on the teardrop in my eye. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. Western Montana, old Missouri River, take me home. Country roads.
Thanks, Thomas. Are there others? Indeed, a tough act to follow.
This is not my thing, but I've known Robin for a very long time. There's several of us out there that remember when Thomas was still Will. And it's hard for me to sometimes not call him Will still. Robin was a big person to me, not because we traveled places or did all those really cool things she did with other friends, see the Northern Lights and stuff. It was in the little things. I spent a lot of time out at the farm with them. I learned a lot from her big sisters, like you're supposed to comb your eyebrows before church and put on makeup. My mom doesn't wear makeup. I didn't know what that was. So I learned a lot that way too. And Will Thomas hung out with us a lot. And I got to see some of those sister spats too. I was traumatized when Jenny ran away because she snuck out the window. She came back for dinner. It was fine. It was good. But it was all the little things all throughout our life. The last time I talked to Robin was December 16th. And she called because she wanted to know if she thought it would be all right to call Mr. Flynn, our old math teacher, to help tutor her girls in algebra and the rest of the class. She just wanted to know, do you think that sounds crazy? And I was like, a little. It's a little crazy, but I think it's worth a try. I don't know. I don't know if she called him, but up until the very end, it was the little things with Robin. It was the little moments. It wasn't the big things. I was, a part of her wedding, and she was a part of my wedding. Those things, pish posh. Congratulations, Willie. I love you. But it's the little things that I'm going to miss a lot. Thank you for being here, and it's so great to see so many faces that she loved.
Thank you. And as you come up, feel free, if it's more comfortable for you, to pull the microphone out of the stand. You're welcome to do that as well.
Hi, I'm Chris Gentry. I have a business here in Ennis. I can't remember the first time that I met Robin. I heard of her writing grants for the county, and her husband, Willie, worked evenings at the Silver Dollar when he was at home. They were starting a distillery in Ennis. The rest is history. We've had a long business history. I remember sharing with her employing handbooks, forms, P&Ls, and anything else as we went down that rabbit hole. She asked questions that made me think about how to be a better business as she was beginning hers. I was invited to sit at her table when she was awarded the 20 under 40 in Bozeman. I watched her get 1 or 2 awards in Butte, and so many other awards. Occasionally we'd meet over lunch at the gravel bar. We'd vent a bit and then offer each other some advice. I watched her give testimony in the Montana Senate and the House of Representatives in 2018 and 19. I watched her build and grow the distillery alongside Willie. She gave me some government lessons a few times. If there was something that she didn't know, you can be guaranteed she'd find the answer. We wrote letters of support for each other. We supported each other's business ventures. If we needed anything, all it would take was a text or a phone call. No questions asked. We were there for each other. Headwaters Development Council contacted me about doing some co-branding with Willie's as we were doing our smokehouse. We were both excited to see where this would go for us. Our Willie's infused products are some of our best sellers today. Hand sanitizers during COVID, coffee, maple syrups. Robin and Willie are people that I would do business with anytime and anywhere. Early on in our friendship, she shared with me a Myers-Briggs personality test. It said, take this, let me know where you come out. We had some very similar qualities. She said to me, I knew I would like you. I had hoped that she liked me before I took that test. She would share titles of books she was reading, and finally I said, I can't read these. I cannot stay awake. One summer, we were both on an Ennis tourism committee, and there was a bunch of complaining that goes on. I looked over at Robin, kind of raised my eyebrow, and grinned at her. She stood up right away. She said, what exactly is the goal of this meeting? I loved her. Her directness could be downright intimidating. I just giggled, and the meeting was back on track for a few minutes. I think she may have had to say it again. Another time, we were at a function in town where we were able to have a few drinks. Sorry, Ruby and Josie. We were talking about raising girls and when it was okay to teach them about sex. Josie and Ruby were in grade school at this time. Robin stood up at her table, and her matter-of-fact voice, this is not happening. Not with my girls. They're not having sex, ever. I can't even think about this. We were all rolling with laughter. Robin was never the touchy-feely type of person, but she touched so many people in Southwest Montana. She kept her circle small and loved her family fiercely. She challenged me to be a better business person and person in general. She supported local whenever she could. She was smart, hardworking, honest, and a friend. She fought her battle with courage and took no prisoners. I am so proud of what she accomplished during her short time here on earth. I know that she put things in place that will continue her and Willie's dream, even though she's not here. I'm going to miss her. Our community was better because of her. She's leaving a hole in the heart of Ennis, but her star shines down on us from on top of the mountain. Literally. Fly high, my friend.
Thank you, Chris. Anyone else?
My name is John Goodman, and I had the pleasure of knowing Robin and Willie from the time we moved here. As a fellow lover of American English, familiar and fond of Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird and the book's protagonists, Jean Louise Scott Finch, I was predisposed to liking Robin Blazer from the start. Trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, thrifty, brave, courageous, and in Robin's case, infinitely curious. Like Robin, Scout was unusually intelligent. She learned to read before she entered school. She was unusually confident. She fought boys without fear. Unusually thoughtful. She worries, wonders about, and questions the essential goodness and evil of mankind. Unusually good. She only acts with the best of intentions. In time, though, I would learn that Robin was all those things and more, only not fictional. To borrow from the beautifully written piece about her in the Bozeman Daily Chronicle, Robin was unusually interested and invested in changing her environment for the better. When the second worst building on Main Street stood there in shambles, housing an old Subway sandwich shop, she decided, don't tear it down and let's not build outside of town. Let's refurbish this thing and make it magical. She was unusually thoughtful and deliberate. Once she had the distillery established, she said, let's not just make it a place where we sell bourbon. Let's make it a finish line for races and a place where good music can be played and people can gather. And she possessed an unusual dogged persistence that paid off in spades. just look around the room. I first met Robin in a windowless office in the basement of First Madison Valley Bank, an idea tank, really, operating under the banner of the Madison County Economic Development Council. Her and Sam Corsmo's office was barely big enough for 2 desks, a couple of office chairs, and a filing cabinet, and was illuminated by humming fluorescent lights and the bright, beautiful minds of the occupants crammed into it. In jeans, a hoodie, and boots, Robin struck me as athletic and beautiful, like Scout Finch in the novel, and also like her, a little tomboyish. From the looks of her desk, she was a head-down type, a multitasker to be sure, and no doubt a hard worker. From the lack of sleep in her eyes, I guessed right that she was a young mom, but wrong as could be that she was a single mom. But when I shook her hand, I knew, and it all made sense. She was a country girl, a farmer and rancher, like those I had grown to admire in Madison County. And soon, as I would learn in that first visit, she was also a no-nonsense military wife. Anything but a single mom, it turns out, as loyal and faithful a wife as they come, determined to get her husband Willie home in one piece so they could be together as a family again, and yes, launch a downtown Ennis distillery bearing Willie's name with the variation of her family's ranch brand as their logo. Talk about a first impression. Honey, how was your day? It was great. I met someone somewhere between Jean Louise Finch and Rocky Mountain Wonder Woman. That's nice, dear. Years later, I too was invited to the 20 under 40 celebration, blown away by the honor. It made me nervous when she said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." I didn't feel worthy of that at all, but the people at her table explained everything. Josie, Ruby, Willie, Chris, Sonny, the same people we're hearing from all these years later. I loved that Robin had a great sense of humor when she disagreed with me about anything, from politics to race to anything. Being the debate and speech champion that she was, she would begin her point by saying, "Dude." Knowing I was defenseless, you can't call a woman dude back to her. And she would go on to win the argument. When I showed up to my first duathlon that she had arranged, going there in her support, she looked at me quizzically and she said, "John," surprised that a larger, full-figured man on a Kermit the Frog Schwinn bike would attempt this incredible race that she had organized. Robin was a lot of things: a convener, a gatherer, a leader in the community, a devoted wife, and a badass mom with to 2 bright, beautiful girls like their mom, Josie and Ruby. She was a business founder whose ultimate currency was community. She was a hostess of a place that would be a finish line, a haven, a spot to get away and reflect, even a tourist destination. For me personally, maybe what she taught me the most is to avoid self-pity and pitying others like the plague. That the more noble calling was to make the most of what you've got, embrace the you-know-what out of personal responsibility, and to be grateful, grateful, grateful for the long and bumpy, glorious ride, whatever that may be, all the more in view of the love and companionship and laughter of those precious, dear sojourners by your side. I will miss Robin dearly.
Hi, my name's Matt Hoffmeister. I've known Willie Blazer for about going on 30 years now. We served in the Rangers back in the early to mid 90s. And after we both got out, Willie was going to the University of Montana, and I was going to the University of Washington in Seattle, and Willie decides he's going to come out and pay a visit to me in Seattle, and brings with him this girl that I'd never met before, and I think he had just started dating. I think maybe a month or two before that. She was pretty new, and he brings her out, and I liked her right away. She was easygoing, easy to get along with. The girl was Robin, by the way, if you didn't figure that out. It was, yeah, just to be clear. But smart. Just, I mean, I felt like after I'd known her for a day, like I'd known her my whole life, like we'd grown up, like I'd known her as long as I'd known Willie, and I think we went out and we, had a few drinks and hung out, and at some point when Robin wasn't around, Willie kind of confided in me. He's like, hey, and he was trying to play it cool. He was what do you think about Robin? He's, I'm not sure that I'm serious about her. I don't know. And I think he wasn't even calling her his girlfriend at that point. And he was. I'm like, man, you're full of crap. I can tell you really like this girl, and I like her too. So you definitely have my 100% seal of approval on this one. So. I don't know how much my opinion weighed in there, but he definitely hung on to her, and I was very happy to see that. We didn't get to see the Blazers as much as we would like. I still continued to serve in the military, and so we were always living far away places. But we did get to see him every few years, and one time we came through here. And it was right before the distillery, I think, had gotten up. Willie was still contracting in Afghanistan, so it was just Robin and the girls. I don't know if you girls remember that. You were pretty little, but we stayed at the house with him, and we got up that next morning. Robin's like, "Hey, I'm going for a run. You wanna go with me?" I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm in pretty good shape. I'll go out and go for a run with you. And I didn't take the altitude change into account, for one thing, but I also didn't know that Robin had been training for a race that she was just about to run. I managed to keep up with her pretty much the whole time. She took me out in some of these hills here, and my pride forced me to keep up with her, but I was definitely hurting by the end, and kind of regretted agreeing to go along with her, but it was a good run anyway. Anyway, those are two of the memories that I have of Robin, and even though I'll miss her a lot, I'll hold on to those memories. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Erica Mita, and I met Robin when Willie's Distillery opened, and so I knew her from that experience, and then also just from seeing her around town and at community meetings. And I would not say that I was close to her, but when I heard the news that she passed, it hit me so strongly, and the fact that she's not here feels like such a void, even though I wasn't close to her. And so I just wanted to share that with everybody so that those of you who were really close to her know what a big impact she has beyond that close circle of friends. And I guess her passing really makes me feel like she'll just always live in my heart as a legend of Ennis. And when the Country Road song was done by her brother, it really made me think she was the kind of girl that I would consider to be Montana royalty.
Thank you. Sound like I'm beatboxing there for a second. My name is Cheer Simak. I'm going to back that microphone way off. There we go. Way off. How's that? Is that better? Okay. I'm here in 3 roles. Willie, the kids, Hensley's. As a sergeant major on behalf of the commander and command team of 19th Special Forces Group. We extend our condolences anytime, any place, anywhere. As business associates, on behalf of Evan Pafer and everybody else at Black Rifle Coffee, we're here for you, the family, and the business. Anything you need. And finally, as a friend, first and foremost, it breaks my heart to be here, and there's no place I'd rather be. Thanks for letting me share this with you. I first met Robin 20 plus years ago when Willie and I embarked on our journey to be to Special Forces medics. And Robin was the type of woman that every military spouse is supposed to be. She is the example. She was strong and independent and supportive, and not afraid to keep her husband in line. I didn't really look at that example at the time. Willie and anybody else that knew me back then can attest that I had a penchant and a blind spot for the crazy, not the stable so much. It took me another 20 years to find the right person who's with me here today. In Special Forces, we call ourselves the quiet professionals. We set higher standards for ourselves, and when we meet or surpass those standards, we are not boastful about it. We protect those that are less fortunate than us, that can't protect themselves. We look out for other people. We look out for our loved ones. And we're kind and we're firm. Robin was twice the quiet professional that any of us could ever hope to be. And I really, really appreciate the example that she set for all of us. And looking around the room today, it's really all any of us can hope for, is that on our day, we have to rent out a school for everybody to show their gratitude. Last summer, my family came out for the 4th to hang out with the Blazers and be ridiculous in Willie's parade. I know it's an Ennis parade, but I'm calling it Willie's parade. At the time, Willie was educating his girls on some survival skills. He had a signal mirror, and they like to go to the top of the hill and see who they could blind across the valley with a signal mirror. And my fiance Nicole was also digging into kind of some of the survival skills. I was less enthusiastic about this, having been beat up and interrogated several times throughout my career. It's just it's not as much fun for me, but they were enjoying it. And Robin kind of hopped on to the fieldcraft skills education there and said that she could find water with 2 coat hangers. And I'm a skeptic of anything that I can't explain. I'm fairly analytical, so I was like, okay, sure you can. You probably want to sell me some candles as well, or maybe do some Reiki. I don't know. But she said, no, really, I can. In fact, I did it on this property. That's how we found our well when we were doing this. So she busted out 2 coat hangers, and there was a bottle of water there, and she formed a 90-degree angle with each one of them and held them loose in her hand. And sure enough, they crossed right at the water bottle, the source of the water there. I figured you could probably make that happen if you just decided that that's where the water is and you point the coat hangers there. So she had me try it. And she gave me instruction. She said, no, you're gripping it too tight. It's not going to work that way. You got to let the coat hangers guide you. So I gripped a little loose, and I'm walking around. I'm walking on the property. I'm wearing these flip-flops and shorts, and I'm walking around in the gravel, and it takes me over the edge of the hill of the property. I'm thinking, oh, this must be where the water is down here. That makes sense. Water is downhill. It's probably in this draw. And then they crossed and it stopped. And I'm like, oh, maybe this is the water. And then I felt things on my feet. And I looked down, and the magic coat hangers led me right into an ant pile. I have no doubt that she could find water. I seem to just be able to find trouble. That's one of my favorite memories of Robin, but there's a lesson in that as well. Robin had her own magic, and she was not afraid to share it with anybody. It's up to us how we use it.
Anyone else?
Hey everybody, I'm Susie Taylor. I met Robin in college, spring 1996. We were both members of a group called the University of Montana Advocates. The Advocates was a very upstanding, you're laughing already? Was a very upstanding, selective group of young leaders focused on professional development, university outreach, and new student services. Yeah, you get the joke. We were a little bit that, but mostly we were a group of great friends who like to go out and have fun together and drink beer and get into a little bit of trouble and just have the time of our lives. So I met Robin through Advocates. And then, I don't know how many of you know this, she left for 6 months to do a semester exchange at Oregon State University. She was an Oregon State University Beaver. She also joined a sorority. Sunny's saying no way. Yeah, little Robin secrets. So before she left, she entrusted me to take care of her houseplants. Oh man, I was really excited. First of all, I just felt lucky that Robin wanted to hang out with me because she was just as cool back then, of course, as she is now. So 6 months later, Robin returned, and I kid you not, wearing her sorority sweatshirt. I remember that. Jenny's nodding too. So she found out I had completely killed her houseplants. I probably watered them once. I don't know. I didn't know anything about houseplants. So she came back to 4 dead houseplants. And, oh, sorry. Oh my God. Sorry about that. But ever the kind soul, she forgave me, and we became even closer. Sonny, you asked me last night, what was Robin like in college? The same, I said, only younger. More fun-loving, spontaneous, carefree. But I had to stop myself. And Lisa, we talked this morning. Robin was never carefree. That was me. That was a lot of us back in college. But that wasn't Robin. She had so much wisdom and maturity that she brought to the table. The table at the bar, but you know, the table. That elicited the admiration, respect, and love of all of our friends, our family back then. Many of whom are here or on live stream from around the world, from the Ivory Coast, if James Billington is on. So she always had that. She worked. She took a year off to work 2 or 3 jobs because she paid her way through college. So one night in college, we were at a bar called the Union Club. Jenny, we'd hung. That's where I got to know Jenny. And so Robin sees her old housemate, Colby, and she's like, oh, Colby's here. I'm going to go chat with him. A few minutes later, she comes back with this tall, redheaded guy, and she said, hey, guys, this is Willie. He's going to hang out with us for a while. And like I said during their wedding, he's still hanging out with us. So thank you, Willie. Thank you, everybody. Robin is with me every day, and she will be for the rest of my life.
Thank you. Sir.
Hi. My name is Nick Armitage. Sitting with a bunch of the Sawtooth Hotshot crew here, some other firefighters in the audience. We all got to work with Willie. And I had the honor of being housemates with Willie and Robin and Kafka. A few other people I think were on the couch that summer. It's not actually an easy task to be housemates with Robin, because even on your R&R days, you kind of had to get up and get a workout in, or if you were sitting there, she'd make you do it. So I think anybody who's been housemates or lived with her before can probably sympathize with that a little bit. But so in 2000, we were housemates in Twin Falls, and we had a really great summer. We were all out working hard and had awesome times going barbecues and movies, and life wasn't necessarily carefree, but it was pretty simple then, and we just had a lot of fun. About 11 years later, things were a little more serious. You could tell that Robin and Willie had gone all in on the distillery, and I was living nearby. So I'd come over and carry heavy things for Willie. We'd go pick up grain or something like that. But really all I wanted to do was play with the still. And, Robin would be like, well, we should clear out this area in the back, in the yard. I was like, yeah, but the still is inside. So I came over 3 or 4 times to do some work with them, and didn't get to use the still until finally I was like, we got to do this. And they had, we had a problem with a batch was stuck in the fermenter. We don't know why. I think it was the first batch ever made. And so we started cramming garden tools up one of the outtake pipes to see what would happen. Well, it all came out all over the place. And right before that, Robin had given me a tour of the office, and she was all business, and it was serious. She had stacks of papers and plans, which we've all heard a lot about today. But man, did we laugh hard trying to figure out how to get that that stuff into the still, just covered. I mean, it was like ankle deep in the distillery. I don't know if I'm supposed to share that. Sorry, Willie. We laughed so hard, and it was just an amazing thing. And I still, to this day, remember Robin's laughter juxtaposed to how much business she was. And I just thought that was really a great moment. So, thanks.
Are there others?
My name is Patrick Griffith. I'm a longtime employee of the distillery at this point. I think, other than maybe Terry over there, I'm one of the longest employees of the distillery. I am very grateful for Robin. She took a chance on me and gave me an opportunity. She gave me a job that has changed my life for the better and changed my family's life for the better, and I will forever be grateful of that. While working at the distillery, she has taught me lots of lessons, business lessons, life lessons, parenting lessons, all kinds of lessons. But I just wanted to share one of them with you guys today. And it had come up. We do a lot of donations. People come to us and ask for donations for auctions, for different events, fundraisers, all that kind of stuff. And it was towards the end of the year. And we had kind of discussed, somebody had just totaled up all of our donations for the year. And I heard the number, and my jaw kind of hit the floor. And me being the sales guy that I am, I'm always looking for the angle to get the most exposure out of every dollar that we spend. That's just part of my job. And so I started just rambling off ideas like, well, maybe we should tie donations to being able to participate in the event or getting some sort of exposure. And in her way, she let me just kind of talk out my idea, very patiently listened. And then at the very end, like she would do sometimes, she'd say, absolutely not. And I said, okay. And she said, I think you're missing the point. And I said, what's the point? And she said, that's not the reason we do this. It's not the reason that we give back. And I said, okay, well, what's the reason? Just out of my own curiosity and make sure I'm on the same page as her. And she didn't hesitate for a second. She just said, because this is our community and it's our job to take care of it. And that's just one of the many lessons that she taught me, is that you can be running a business, you can be raising a family, you can be trying to squeeze every ounce out of every penny that you spend for building that company. But you still have your humanity, and you're still part of the world around you. And, and it's our community and it's our job to take care of it. And I'll never forget that lesson. So forever grateful to Robin and Willie and their family for giving me the opportunities they've given me and for teaching the lessons that they've taught me.
Thank you. Are there others?
Hi, Josh Viovich. I've had the pleasure of knowing Robin and Willie for since they moved here. But I wanted to tell you this story of when they started Willie's, and I was working for them trying to finish up the building, and the still had just shown up. And Robin and Willie had all the parts spread out all over the floor. And I walked into the room, and Willie's phone rang, and he stepped out of the room. And Robin's staring at this stuff, and she looks at me, and she says, "You're an engineer. You can put this together. Here's the directions." And she walked away. And I looked at the directions. I said, "Robin, these are all in German." She said, "Yeah, but there's pictures." And that's how she was. The problem was solved and done, and she was on to the next one. So, thanks.
Thank you. Sir.
Hope everybody's doing great right here, and we're remembering Robin. And so, name's not necessary. I'm just one of many. But speaking for the U.S. Army Special Forces Association, military special operators, if you stay very alert, you can look down the aisle. There's one crawling right down through here. There's some embedded over here, some Army Rangers. I think I saw some up here hanging on the basketball net. So you don't see them because they're quiet professionals and they're really sneaky. But Robin has always supported ongoing training operations here in Montana. She took an active part. It goes without saying Willie did that, but whenever we needed something. So she'll always be remembered for support of Army and all the other military branches of special operations. And I'm just going to end this little short thing. Robin being Robin, she cuts into our very strong type A male egos. Robin is undoubtedly scouting out our next mission. She's out in front of us again. We just can't do that. But so she cuts into our egos, but we'll let her do it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And before we move on, I think it would be fitting to recognize Willie and all of his both active and veteran brothers and sisters in arms, please. Please stand and be recognized. Thank you for your service, and thank you so much for being here to be with one of your own. Are there others that would like to share a few thoughts or memories of Robin? I know I never, I met both Willie and Robin not that many years ago. And, you know, I don't have probably near the time and the windshield time with them that a lot of you do, but I would like to share just a couple of observations. And Robin, and there's others in the room that'll know exactly what I'm talking about, but Robin approached me on the turbulent waters of policymaking and state law and the legislative process and our arcane world of liquor laws. And I knew right away, just a couple of casual observations the first time I met her, and many conversations after that, but she was uber smart, she was driven, she was diplomatic, and she was a statesperson in every sense of the word. And Robin taught me a lot about the art of compromise. She helped me to understand how nice somebody could actually be when they wouldn't take no for an answer. And on more than one occasion, and this is where when I learned that she was a diplomat's diplomat, Robin could, she told me to probably to go to hell in such a nice way a time or two that I look forward to the trip. So that's the Robin that I remember. Are there others that would like to share?
Hi there, my name is Andrea Schmidt, and I also met Robin in college when we were the co-coordinators of the group called the University of Montana Advocates. And I'll just tell a couple of quick stories of the very many that come to mind. One is that normally we had two coordinators of this group, large campus volunteer group, and for a while, we only had one. It was me, and I did this job by myself for about 6 months that was meant for two people. And then Robin was hired, thank goodness. And I was really ready for her to show up, and she came in the office. And I greeted her with a sort of, oh, thank God you're here. I've had such a difficult time doing this by myself, and wow, has it been hard and whatever. And she just sort of stood there and regarded me for a minute with a straight face, and then said, well, let's get to it. Which just typifies Robin completely. The other thing that I was thinking about today, particularly when Sunny was speaking, was a time when we were getting ready for everybody to come onto campus and go through the orientation process at the university. And there was a group of us sort of frantically preparing for a bunch of future freshmen to show up in this building called the University Center. And we had a lot to do. And we heard outside thunder, rumbling thunder. And we heard the rain start to come down. And Robin said, stop. Let's get out there and watch this. Everybody stop what you're doing. Let's get out there and watch this. And we stood on the balcony of the University Center in Missoula and watched that rain come down. And I was thinking about that in particular. I live in Western Washington. We don't have thunderstorms. I miss them. And I had my daughter ask me a couple of days ago if I'd ever seen a thunderstorm. And I said, not only have I seen a thunderstorm, but a really special person made me stop and watch the thunderstorm one time.
Thank you. Are there others?
I didn't really intend to say anything, but so I was an advocate as well, but I was sort of lucky enough to be on the tail end. My name is Beth. Tail end of Robin's time as coordinator. And I always just thought as like an 18, 19-year-old college student that she seemed so badass and so like mature and wise. And I didn't really fully understand it. And I haven't stayed particularly close with her over the years, but I would see the way she just lived her life, and it just always seemed so deliberate and amazing. But I will share that I was trying to think of exactly what summer this was, but it was probably at least 6 years ago. A friend of mine who was also an advocate, and I inadvertently took a trip into Ennis on a weekend, a girls' weekend in Virginia City, and we popped into Willie's, and I was like, I wonder if Robin will be here. And she was. And this other friend of mine, who I will not name, was sort of maybe starting to date a guy from Townsend. And I was like, oh, well, we should definitely ask Robin. And it was a very like sort of frivolous, silly conversation, but she was so present and gave her advice and guidance. And it just, to me, felt like still very much just her listening to you and giving guidance and just, I thought, embodied who she was.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
I'm Pete Caffrey, and one time we were down in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and a buddy of mine was going to be playing rugby down in Savannah, Georgia, and Robin knew Shannon and was like, "Hey, Pete, let's go on down to Savannah." I was like, "I'm in training, man. I can't just run down to Savannah on any weekend. You know, like, I'm tired." So she kicked me in the ass, and we went to Savannah.
Are there others? Thomas.
I'm Big Sister Carol. And when Robin was born, it was on Jenny's birthday. And Jenny, I was super excited because I got another little sister. And Jenny said, "No, I don't want to share my birthday. What are you talking about?" As a 2-year-old would. Jenny and Robin became so incredibly close that at times I was very jealous of how close they were. But I'm glad that they were very close. And then a few years later, in junior high, Robin had this beautiful braid that drove Mom crazy. She made a braid right on the side of her head, and she wore it all the time. In the front of her head, yes. It was kind of odd, but it was Robin. But Robin didn't care. Robin was like, "No, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to do." So Robin has always done things like this. And she's sorely going to be missed. Well, then Jenny is pregnant, and she's about to have Charlie. And all of a sudden, it was Thanksgiving or something, and Robin and I were downtown, and Willie and Lonnie were with us, and all of a sudden there was a phone call at midnight. And I'm like, "Oh, something's going on." And then Jenny gets to share her birthday again with not only just her sister, but her son. So all three of them on the same day. And now we don't have our triplet, but we have our two. So thanks.
Thank you. Are there others? Seeing none, her uncle Kent Erickson is going to do a trumpet selection, I believe. Thank you, Kent. Following the celebration of life, there is a reception down in the school cafeteria. If everybody would just hang tight and let the family exit and then follow them down there, that would be much appreciated. Robin was indeed one of the good ones. Robin, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you, turn his face toward you, and give you peace. Thank you so much for joining the family for the celebration of life to a person that lived it as well as anybody that I know. Enjoy your afternoon. Enjoy each other. Keep the family in your thoughts and prayers. They're going to need all of you. Thanks for being here today.